Hello everybody. Today we will be setting up the server. We will be creating the server and we will be launching the server. So first off, let's go ahead and delete this test.js file. Okay, let's create a file and let's call it server.js. Okay, so let's go ahead and open that, and in here we want to include express require express. Okay, so here we imported we imported express, and we want an HTTP server that handles HTTP requests. Okay, so here we will say var HTTP equals require HTTP. Okay, now we will say the following line. We will type the following line: var server equals HTTP, okay, which is this, dot server, okay, and actually before that, let's define here something that is called app equals express. And let's put the app in here. Let's explain this. First, we defined or we imported the express, okay, the express library, and we put it inside the express, and we imported the HTTP server, which is in the Node.js already built in, and we put it or we saved it inside the HTTP. Now app, in here we actually created a new instance of express, which gives us an app. Okay, so this creates an app. Now the server here, we said HTTP, which is this dot server, and the function server, okay, the function server creates an HTTP server, and in the parameter here it holds an HTTP handler, and we set app, okay, which is the express, to handle the HTTP requests coming from the HTTP server. Okay, so once again, we set the express app to handle the HTTP requests coming from the HTTP server. Okay, now we will make that HTTP server listen at port, let's say HTTP server dot listen at the port 3333. Okay, so now if you compile this, you will see that the server or the HTTP server is actually listening at the port 3333. And to check that, let's actually add a function here that says console.log that development running at port 3333. So this function prints this if the server is listening at this port correctly. Okay, so let's go ahead and compile this by saying node server.js. Okay, you can see now that the development server is running at port 3333. Okay, now if you go to a browser and you type 1.127.0.0.1 and the port is 3333, you're gonna see that it's gonna give you a refuse to connect error. Okay, but now when you run the server.js, okay, you can see that the development server is running at port 3333. If you refresh the page, you can see that it's opened, but it says an error in it that says cannot get this, which is the home directory, because it's basically like that. Okay, so it says cannot get this from the server. Okay, and now here this app here comes into play. Okay, now when we say app.get, okay, and we say this, which is the home directory function, rec, which means request and result. Or this doesn't mean result, I'm not sure to be honest, but this means request for sure. Okay, now let's say res dot dot send, let's say send hello to it. Okay, so let's explain this code that we just wrote. Okay, now basically we're saying to this app, or to this Express app, handle the HTTP request of the type GET, okay, which says, or which prompts us to open the home directory. Okay, respond with the message hello. Okay, so now instead of saying cannot get this, it will say hello here. Okay, whoops, we have to rerun the server because to apply changes, of course. Now if you refresh the page, you can see that it says hello. Okay, so firstly, it didn't respond, or it's blocked the client from opening any directory at the server. Okay, until yeah, you specify it by here, by handling the GET method, or the HTTP request of the type GET, and you specify what you want to happen with this request. Okay, so if you go to something to like /test, it's gonna say cannot get test. If you go here and you type /test in here, okay, and you're telling the app to actually handle the HTTP request of type GET that wants to go to the /test directory on your server, okay, by responding with a message that says hello. Okay, so let's rerun the server, node server.js. Okay, and now it says cannot get. Okay, but if you refresh, it says hello. And if you return to the home directory, it's gonna give cannot get this. Why? Because we haven't specified, or we haven't handled the HTTP request of type GET that says we want to open the home directory. Okay, so let's remove the test here and put it back, cancel that, and reopen it, and you can see that it says hello. Okay, but instead of saying hello, we want it to show our index.html, okay, which is the main chat program, or the main chat application that we're gonna make, or we're gonna program. Okay, so instead of saying send only, let's first create a web page in here, and let's say it index.html. Okay, and inside this HTML, let's type the normal some basic HTML forms. Okay, character set, and here let's say testing, and let's for that, and let's say h1 testing h1. Okay, so we want to send this file, which is index.html, to the browser when the user goes to the home directory. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that, and say send file, and in Express there's a built-in function that says send file, okay, which sends a file to the client from the server. Okay, so but here we have to specify the directory name, dir name, by saying dir name, and dir underscore dir name returns the current directory. Okay, the current directory of the running script. So it returns the current directory of server.js, and dir name, this dir name is a global JavaScript value, so you can use it anywhere. Anyways, let's close that and rerun it. Node server.js. Now it's supposed to say, whoops, I messed up here. Let's say index.html. Okay, let's run the server right now. Okay, now if you refresh this page, insert file or directory start state at this. Oh, whoops! I'm so sorry. You have to specify a slash in here, and then let's rerun the server. Okay, and you're gonna see that it actually loaded the index.html. Okay, so that's the result of index.html. Now we want to add socket.io into play. Okay, so that we can handle the transmission of chat messages coming from the client and to the server. Now we will keep that here, but we will define something here that says var io equals require socket.io, and socket.io needs an HTTP server to send the sockets over. It needs an HTTP server to send the sockets over. So instead of creating a new one, we're gonna just specify an already existed one, which is called the server. Let's say server, which we created here. Now, okay. Now we created or we set up the socket.io and its HTTP server. Okay, and we set it the socket.io to be transferring or transmitting the sockets over the HTTP server that we created here. Okay, now what we want is, let's just type that. We want to handle some sockets. Okay, we want to handle some sockets events. Okay, now we want to say io.on, which means when the socket that we defined here is on connection. Okay, so basically when someone connects to the browser here, I mean to the web page or to the server. Okay, when someone connects to the server, alright, let's just have a function here that with its parameter, let's say socket, which is the connected socket. Okay, and in here let's console log, let's say a user has connected. Okay, let's turn this off. Okay, and rerun it, node server.js. Now be careful here. If you refresh this page, okay, it's not gonna give you anything here. But why is that? Let me tell you why. Because in the index.html we haven't even connected to the server. Okay, so we want to connect to the server by first of all importing the socket.io, but for clients this time. And if you want to do that, just say src, as long as we downloaded the socket in our project, you can import it as the following: socket.io, like slash socket.io.js. Okay, and under the body or inside the body, okay, let's open another script tag that says var socket equals IO. Okay, so by saying IO here, we're actually connecting, and be careful, IO here does not have anything with IO here. Okay, this is a different function and this is a variable. Okay, so this has nothing to do with this. Let's go ahead, let's continue. Now by saying IO, we're actually connecting to the server, which is this, and by connecting to this, we're actually sending to the server this message: a user has connected. Now if you save this, and well, you don't have to actually close the server, okay, and rerun the server. You don't have to do that because the editing was just on the client side and not on the server.js. Okay, and here we're actually running the server.js and not the index.html. So, but just to be careful, let's rerun it so that we can get everything is working again. You can see that a user has connected. You see? Why did it appear now? Let's re-explain that. As I recall, the first time that it didn't show this message here is because we didn't connect to the server via this function. Okay, this function connects to the server. Okay, by excuse me, by giving it blank parameters, means that you're actually connecting to the local host. Okay, so we don't have to type localhost. Let's just leave it blank because the default is localhost. Okay, now we want to handle the event when the user disconnects. What does that mean? I mean when the user closes the browser. Okay, let's say socket dot socket, which is the socket that was connected. Okay, socket dot on disconnect. Okay, and let's say console.log user has disconnected. Okay, now we're actually editing the server.js, so we have to close and rerun the server.js. Node server.js. Okay, now when a user connects, okay, via the IO function, it says a user has connected. When the same user disconnects or closes the browser, it says a user has disconnected. Okay, let's try it out. You can see that it says a user has connected. When you close that, you can see that it says a user has disconnected. Okay, so we have handled the connection when the user connects and when the user disconnects to the server or from the server. Okay, so I guess okay, so I guess that's it for today's lesson, and thanks for watching.